My guy here needs no introduction, but in case you've been sleeping under a rock, Cubs manager, and my boy Joe Maddon. Joe, how you feeling today, man?
I slept under a rock last night. I feel actually pretty good.
Man, you got the restaurant next door.
Yep.
Winningest manager in baseball since you've been around. World Series champion first couple years. Can you talk about the ride in Chicago so far?
Oh my God, it's been beautiful. Started right down the street here. We started at the Cubby Bear with that press conference, which I absolutely loved. Theo and Jed set it up perfectly. I'm very comfortable in bar rooms actually, so that was nice. So it began there. I saw my name on the marquee in front of Wrigley Field. It's surreal. So it started there, then eventually in 2015 we have a big series against the Giants, and all of a sudden we're moving in the right direction. We win, we get into the playoffs, we win a really important wild card game in Pittsburgh. It catapults us in the right direction the next year, all the way to the World Series, and then everything that's happened beyond that to the playoffs for 4 consecutive years. And so much growth among our players. Personally, I cannot tell you how fortunate I feel to be a part of the city and in this ballpark and this organization. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's unique to get this opportunity at this point in my life. Just turned 65. I cannot be more thankful.
Wow, looking good, man. Nice
haircut. Actually, Kelly dug on it, so I was good with that.
Coming up, did you ever have a nickname?
There's just Joey when I was a kid. Back in Hazleton, I'm from Hazleton, Pennsylvania. Joey was primarily it. When I go back home, I still answer to Joey. My son's Joey. But that was as worse as I got. I mean, Pino eventually, a little bit. Pino's Joe in Italian. Picked up on that actually when I went to do clinics in Italy. I did clinics in the mid-90s. My pitching coach was named Pino. He said, "Hey, that's Joe in Italian," and all of a sudden that started happening a little bit. But it's primarily Joey back home.
Speaking of nicknames, the Bigs, we're known for giving out nicknames.
Okay.
So some of the players here, like Chris Bryant, we nicknamed him the Natural, which is it's natural. It's obvious.
That's the perfect nickname. Absolutely.
Kyle Hendricks, he's known as the Professor.
Of course.
We call him Poetry in Motion.
Nice.
Which is self-explanatory.
It fits.
Kyle Schwarber.
What do you got?
Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
Of course.
Yes.
He carries a little plastic bag,
yes.
Like with a big head on it, to be perfect.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Most notably though, El Mago.
I love that.
We came up with that.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, we created
that's
that.
Right on.
Javi, he gives the credit to his people from Puerto Rico, which is fine with me.
Okay.
But
we all know where it started.
Yeah, we all know where it started. Shout out to John Greenberg because he wrote an article on it and he gave a lot of background.
Could not be more perfect.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. He reminds me of actually I played with a guy Puerto Rican descent when I was coming up in Little League. And he was amazing, man. The stuff that he did with the glove at shortstop, his name was Ozzy. And the stuff that he did at shortstop, it was like...
It's a great name for a shortstop.
It is.
Yeah. Ozzy just fits at shortstop.
Yeah.
But listen, those Puerto Rican kids could really play some baseball. The kids we get from Puerto Rico normally have a really high baseball IQ. Mm-hmm. There's something about how they're taught. I think it's their dads, their brothers, their uncles, whatever, but they have a really good insight into the game and they see things situationally that a lot of guys don't see.
And they play with that natural swagger and natural flair, right?
Fearlessness. I think it's fearlessness. I think fearlessness equals swag, or whatever you want to call it, but it starts with a fearless nature. If you don't have that, you can't have swag.
I agree with that 100%. What do you think is to you, what's the most beautiful part of the game? For me, I love the fact that it's like the only sport where if you're successful 3 out of 10 times, you're Hall of Fame worthy. So I think the difficulty in it is the beauty in it for me.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. People have no idea. I mean, because everybody's probably played some ball, and you watch it on TV, and everybody thinks they know because they have played. The danger is that when you come to the ballpark and you're sitting up high, it looks relatively easier. Sometimes it may look easy on television, but to do what an everyday Major League player does every day is very difficult. To repeat your mechanics every day and be successful, to absorb failing 7 out of 10 times is very difficult. So the guys that play every day, it's a physical challenge, it's a mental challenge. More of a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge.
Right.
And that's the part that, unless you've done it, people can't really truly wrap their mind around. And that's my appreciation. I never did that. I never was an everyday Major League Baseball player. So I really give these guys a lot of consideration because I know from observation how difficult that is. Our game is the most difficult. It's the most difficult to be really great at. We played every day. These other sports couldn't. I mean, football, of course, you couldn't just physically. Basketball, I don't think you could do it physically either, just
right.
between the pounding and the running up and down on the floor. We can, based on our pace, but the mental component is really difficult.
Yeah, it kind of burns me up on the inside when I hear people say how boring baseball is. And it's like, we don't need I guess you always would love new fans, but I just feel like there's no way that you could think the game is boring. But I think that also goes back to having to have a love for the game, even to play it, to watch it, whatever. It has to start at an early age.
Yeah, and you're right, and I think that's where the educational component of it. I mean, anybody that says the game is boring doesn't understand the game. If you understand the game, just the moment from the pitcher decides what to throw to the catcher, and that negotiation that's going on between the two of those guys, that's really interesting also.
Right.
Our game is full of pauses that permit you to think, and that's why it's such a mental game, because there's all this time to think. As a fan, to try to project in advance what may occur, that to me is fascinating also as a fan. So our game to me is by far the most intellectual of all, the most difficult of all, and I think if anybody says it's boring, it's because they truly don't understand it.
If there was one thing you could change about the game, what would it be?
I've talked about it recently because everybody's making a big deal about pace and length of the game and etc. I think that messing with the pace, if they wanted to, meaning to put a clock to make sure that the pitch occurs more rapidly, I'm good with that, because as a defender, as a catcher, I hate it when the pitcher took too much time in between pitches. If you're the shortstop, you hate when the pitcher takes too much time in between pitches. So mess with the pace. But the length of the game doesn't matter. If it's a good baseball game, who cares if it's 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours, whatever. If it's a good game as a kid, I didn't want the game to end. Even watching it on TV, I was always hoping for extra innings. So mess with the pace. Do not worry whatsoever about the length of the game, and please don't impact the strategy. Like they're talking about rules like next year, a really pitcher has to face 3 batters, as an example. I'm just saying, when it comes to strategy, stay out of that. Don't mess with strategy. Mess with the pace. And furthermore, I don't think that has anything to do with being boring or not, all these different items. Again, education. I think it's, if we can get more kids involved. I've been advocating fantasy baseball in schools, so that kids have to get their own team on a morning basis in homeroom, set up your team, follow the game all through the summer, come back in the fall, who's in the playoffs. I would prefer things like that, and utilizing analytics in math class. I think that'd be a great and more interesting method to get kids involved in the game. And also, one more thing, I Skype classes. I'm into Skyping. Here's the other thing. Skyping is so easy. I just did a class the other day here in Chicago. Whitney Young. I did their school. It's tremendous. Great questions. The point is, if I Skype one class a month, put my finger out of the way, one, and every player on my team that's like 25 days worth of Skyping, and then you times that by 30 Major League teams. Just by infiltrating classrooms with kids, I know by the time that Skype session is done, They're fans of the Cubs. They might even like me a little bit better, but that's not important. But if they have Rizzo there or KB there or Javi there doing a class, that's how you're going to get interest. And it's so easy. We don't utilize technology appropriately, I don't think, in order to impact and attract young followers.
Leave our game alone.
Yeah, exactly, please.
Going back to El Mago, Javi kind of admitted to being a little tired at the end of last season. I guess it could have been with Addison having to serve the last part of his suspension, but with him coming back, would that help you guys regulate that and have him being healthy for the stretch run?
Yep. I mean, last year everybody was tired. That schedule at the end of last year was brutal. We had one day off out of 40-something.
Right.
The day off that we had, we got in at 6 o'clock in the morning from Arizona, had to play the next day at 3. So everybody was tired at the end of last year. And Javi plays with a lot of verve, energy, whatever you want to call it. But yes, having Addison becoming available to us, I'm going to start looking to get Javi days off in advance of him being tired. What I normally like to do is that. I like to get guys off. I don't want to wait till something is broken to fix it. You're trying to prevent it being broken in the first place. So we have to utilize Addison at shortstop to get Javi off of his feet, and you feel very comfortable having Addison at shortstop.
Couple more things. You're really successful at being able to manage people. How do you get the guys to, I guess it's kind of easy to play with each other, but how do you get the guys to focus on playing for each other?
Yeah, that is the key. What you do, that's philosophical. That's a culture that you create. That's something you talk about all the time. And what I try to do is, I call it my lead bulls. You try to get the most influential guys on your team. I have meeting with them. You set up the team policies and you make them run the clubhouse. I don't run the clubhouse, they do. So if you get your lead players running in the right direction and really buying into the overall culture and philosophy, then they will control that. And once you get that going on, then everybody kind of falls in line. And once that occurs, it is all about playing for one another. And that, I want to believe, my point is, I want to believe the guy that maybe runs in the opposite direction, the rest of these guys are going to pull him in and make sure that they are running in the right direction. So it really starts in the clubhouse. It starts by empowering your players. It's about making sure that they feel the freedom to be themselves. And when you get all that rolling properly, they will police the situation and make sure that they are playing for one another.
Spoken like a genius.
I've just thought about it for a while.
Last thing, I like to do something basically it's called I tell you, you tell me.
Okay.
And just 2 random questions.
Okay.
First one, favorite vacation ever?
Woof. Favorite vacation ever, I would say when my wife and I, Jay, went on our honeymoon in 2008. We went to Rome. That was the first part of it. We went to Rome, and she had never been there. I had been there before, but she had not. Go to Rome, 2008, right after the World Series with the Rays versus the Phillies. I ended up winning a Manager of the Year award, so I'm accepting my award on the balcony of the Westin, I think Excelsior, that was very close to the Spanish Steps, which is an incredible vibe in Rome. It's spectacular anyway. But anyway, all this occurring in 2008 after just getting married the week before, 2 weeks before that, going to the World Series, married, Rome, and everything that Rome means. That was pretty special.
Sounds interesting.
It was very interesting, yeah.
Well, I went to Hawaii when I was a kid with my mom. That's the reason I'm a pineapple lover. I went to the Dole Pineapple Factory.
Love it, man.
Yeah, it turned me out.
Okay.
But
do you like it with chocolate on it? Do you dip it in chocolate at all?
I'm gonna try that. Here's
what you want to do. You're gonna get that, and you get some dark chocolate, and then you freeze them, and eat frozen pineapple squares with dark chocolate. It's killer.
Wow.
I promise you, you'll never return after that.
I'm on that as soon as I get home.
You might actually start a little food truck with just that in it.
I'll give you a percentage.
I don't want I just want you to really enjoy it and be successful. That's all.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I went to Jamaica.
Oh, I've not been there yet.
Yeah, I went to Jamaica just this past November, and it was mind blowing. Actually, It was kind of felt like part of the culture. You know,
Okay.
I got to go up to Mount Zion with Bob Marley.
Yeah.
You know, where
That's
You know, got to see the mausoleum, and it was kind of eerie, but it was, you could feel it in the air.
Of course.
So yeah,
Right.
Jamaica for me. Last one. Your favorite song of all time?
Wow. My favorite song. I mean, as a kid, my recollection starts like, in 63, 62 as I really got into music. The Stones. At that time, I Can't Get No Satisfaction was hot. And the Beatles just came over from England. I was really into the Stones. And I became Bruce Springsteen in the 70s, a big Springsteen fan. And he's got so many songs that I love. And then Led Zeppelin. If I had to pick one that I could listen to over and over and over, which I have for years, I'd say Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin never gets old.
Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. I'm going to check that out as soon as I get upstairs.
Oh my God, you're going to fall in love immediately.
Okay.
It's that good. It starts slowly, it's got a great riff, and then eventually it speeds up a bit. But it's something that never, it's got universal meaning to it. It never gets old.
For me, you gotta go check it out when you get a second. His name is Nas, N-A-S, and the song title is The World Is Yours. It's basically self-explanatory. It's just a really vivid picture painted, the struggles growing up in the hood and how to overcome. And it's
I'll
just
listen to it today, I promise.
And I'll come back to you with the Led Zeppelin with my decision. Yeah, and then you do the same.
I shall. And the thing about Zeppelin too, if they ever got back for even like one night, I would miss an entire weekend of managing baseball to go witness that concert.
You heard it here, my man Joe Maddon, Cubs manager. We appreciate
Thank
you,
my brother. You're outstanding.
Yes,
Great
sir.
job.
Yeah, I'm trying to get.
It's the bigs. They calling us the bigs. It's the bigs, but not because our size. It's the bigs. They calling us the bigs. It's the bigs, but not because our size.